Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Dubious Knowledge. It is I, Jason. I am here once again, and we actually have a full crew. Mike, you're here with us this month, man. I know you've been working your ass off, brother.
Yeah, I'm here. It's good to be back. I just I've been working. It seems very funny. I come back for Abadar, which I think is also very funny. So
yeah, you also celebrated a bachelor party.
I did. Yeah, I did. Spend a lot of money, which is also a very Abadarian thing. So
did you at least win some money?
No, I didn't. I don't gamble.
Oh,
I only gamble. I only gamble on fights. Like I only bet fight sports bets. That's the only thing I gamble. A couple of my friends, like a couple of guys there, they won some money, but they were competing. They were, at the same table, and I'm like, hey, you're taking each other's money, guy. What are you doing? Pick a different table, switch. But, real fun. Vegas is great in short bursts. I don't think I could live there. I would die.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish we had in Minnesota is the sports books, because that's still illegal in Minnesota. I know that's in the state Congress to try to change it, but I don't know when that'll happen.
And I was there for a UFC fight, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was there for the Strickland Duplessis fight. And
that's sick.
Dude, that city is nuts when the UFC is there. It's wild.
Dude, Duplessis just fucking rocks Strickland. Anyway, yeah, this isn't fight talk, so this is God talk.
Threaten me with a good time.
That was an idea for another podcast I had. That's I might save that for another thing at some point, a special. Anyway, we also have Cori. Cori, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Jason. Happy to be here.
Yeah, you also getting the warm weather over there in Toronto?
No, it's been very cold the last few days.
Jeez, we're in the 70s for the last 2 days in Minnesota. 70s Fahrenheit.
It snowed on Sunday, so
I feel like we're in the bayou of Mississippi, because it's been in the 70s here in Minnesota. Which you probably already heard our guest, who I guess we can't really call him a guest. He's been on 4 shows already. Welcome back, Heath.
You can be a guest in someone's home multiple times. Hey, what's up? I am back, in fact, for sweet Abadar talk. What's up, guys?
Good, man. Are you in the 70s down there in Mississippi?
Dude, today was the most beautiful day. It was wonderful. It was like 74. Like, me and my nephew and cousin cleaned my grandma's pool and got it with like refilling it and stuff, because like today was the herald of like, oh yeah, swimming temperatures are coming.
Yeah, I know that you had said earlier that you were going to do some yard work.
Mm-hmm.
When we were playing music earlier.
Yeah, that was only a very tiny light. It was really all pool work.
You were in the yard.
The pool is in the yard, yes.
Yeah, you're good, man. But yeah, we're talking about Abadar. This is probably going to be a longer episode. I know Alex was supposed to join. He unfortunately came down with a bug and is sick. So unfortunately, Alex will not be joining us this month. But we will still have Heath here, who is more of our residential expert on the Pact Worlds. So we got it, and Abadar is big, huge.
Abadar it transcends time and space, because so does money.
Right. Commerce. Yeah, and I'm very interested in seeing how some of the themes translate over to the Pact World. So, but let's lay the foundation. Let's get our bearings straight, and just get the basics for Abadar.
All right.
Cori.
So the basics for Abadar: the god of walls and ditches, the gold-fisted, the judge of the gods, the master of the first vault, the god of the first vault, the wealthy father, the two-headed eagle, and the scales and streets. That last one was what he was known as back during Aslant times. So been around for god fucking forever. He is the god of cities, law, merchants, and wealth, and is known to be a patient deity, maintaining a strong neutral stance in his actions. He sets forth to expand civilization and order among the peoples of Golarion. His edicts are to civilize the frontier, to earn wealth through work and trade, and to obey laws. It is anathema in his church to steal or to undermine a law-abiding court. His areas of concern are cities, law, merchants, and wealth. Pre-Master, his alignment was lawful neutral. He allowed followers of lawful good, lawful neutral, lawful evil, and in first edition, neutral alignments to get spells from him. Domains in 1E were Earth, Law, Nobility, Protection, Travel, with subdomains of Defense, Fortifications, Inevitable, Leadership, Legislation, Martyr, Metal, and Trade. Ugh. Second edition, domains are Cities, Earth, Travel, and Wealth, with an alternative domain of Duty. Favored weapon is the crossbow. Centers of worship are Absalom, Andoran, Brevoy, Cheliax, Catapesh, the Manawace, Multhun, Nex, Osirian, Vidrian, Taldor, and Varisia. His holy symbol is a golden key, often with a cityscape engraved in the head, and that's the basics.
So, first thing that hits me is Earth is interesting. I was really curious about Earth. Like,
well, where does metal come from?
It's also where you put vaults. You bury your treasure.
I suppose. Yeah.
But metal coming from is probably the right answer.
Yeah, it's where you get gold and silver, so of course it's...
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. That makes sense now. How does he look in the Pact Worlds?
So, according to Starfinder, I've got two different sources. They're still pretty similar. He's either shown as the god of civilization, commerce, law, and wealth, or cities, law, merchants, and wealth, which all pretty similar. But kind of his domains are just what he's viewed as the god of in Starfinder. Earth's not included though, I'm assuming, because there's so many planets. His centers of worship in the Pact Worlds are Absalom Station, I don't know of a deity yet that is not worshipped in Absalom Station. Akiton and Verces, he's still got the golden key he's rocking as a symbol. I'd be curious, it still seems to have a cityscape, but it kind of looks like the Taj Mahal a little bit. I can send you guys, I forgot that I usually do a better job and screenshot this stuff before we get on the call. But I can send you guys a picture in a second. His favorite weapon is now the crossbolter in Starfinder, so that's fun.
Similar.
Yeah, still similar. His edicts are to bring civilization to all worlds, to earn wealth through hard work and trade, and to follow the rule of law. His anathema is engage in banditry or piracy, to steal or to undermine a law-abiding court. That one's still the same. Stealing seems to be the big one, and corrupting the rule of law. And then, so you get blessings and curses as well in Starfinder. And his blessings, if you're blessed by Abadar, are that you see past even cunning lies. Your business ventures work out in the end. That's a super useful one. And you can find compromise in any situation. And that one always struck me as very idealistic, but also very complex. Like, any situation? Like, there are some pretty major, like, not only conflicts, but differences in opinion, let's say, that would be very hard to compromise between some of the major players in the Starfinder universe. And then if you're cursed by Abadar, you, very easy one, suffer financial hardship. You just lose some money. Your business ventures fail. You lose the ability to make good deals. And if you commit a crime, you leave behind damning evidence. So, like, there's this notion that, like, you could be cursed by Abadar in the moment of committing a crime, presumably theft, and then you leave behind the evidence that gets you caught.
And as is tradition, we are talking about Abadar, and we do have Heath on the show. So let me tell you a little bit about why Abadar is like the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. I came up with my own list, but I'm curious what yours is.
So Abadar is known for rewarding those who work hard.
Okay.
Much like the New Orleans Saints do. But he's also morally ambiguous enough to recognize that not every person can benefit from every decision. Much like the New Orleans Saints did with Bountygate.
I knew that one was coming.
The other two are a bit more Heath and me. Like Heath versus me.
Okay.
The Packers are known to have a very small market in Green Bay, Wisconsin, as well as having Lambeau Field, which is steeped in tradition and history. While very much like Abadar, the New Orleans Saints have a sprawling city of New Orleans and have a giant dome known as the Superdome.
Mm-hmm. If it wasn't in the 2E Gods and Magic image, that's the one that looks kind of like the Taj Mahal. If it didn't have that steeple on top of it, you could very well say that might be the Superdome inside the key.
It's true. And then
that's
the
funny.
last one...
I will say, New Orleans, as city goes, small market. Like, compared to most city-based teams, it's one of the smaller markets.
Not as small as Green Bay, Wisconsin.
No, nothing is.
So what you're saying is Green Bay is the Erastil?
Pretty much. Pretty much. And lastly, very much like this back and forth between Heath and I, Abadarian priests are known to have competition between their backed business ventures while always remaining friendly.
Oh, okay. That's fun. Yeah, I had a few that I came up with just last second as well, and my first and biggest one was obviously no problem with the lack of separation of religion and business. The Saints are literally a religiously branded franchise, and Abadar is the Church of Money, you know? Their identity, is really tied up into the ideas of cities, right? Like, the New Orleans Saints are super embraced by the city of New Orleans and no one else. And, like, if you've never really been around New Orleans much, like, the Saints are a talisman of that city. Like, they are the lifeblood of that city's, like, confidence and well-being, you know? Like, most notably because of Hurricane Katrina, right? Like, they almost sold the team, and having not done that was a big, and then getting a Super Bowl like 4 years later was a humongous win for the city. And I mean, that's why they have such diehard fans. Also, Abadar and New Orleans are tied to their own unique set of laws. In Louisiana, they have the Napoleonic Code. And so they have, you know, for example, they have parishes instead of counties. But their followers succeeded in following those or manipulating those laws to varying degrees. There's a lot of crime in New Orleans. And for the easiest one, the absolute most notable one, they both love gold.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I could use the one about the city lives and breathes Packers for Green Bay too, because if the Packers were not in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Green Bay would just be like any other small town.
Right. It'd just be a farm.
Right. Right.
That's funny. That's interesting having it flipped. I've like dunked on the Packers so much. I'm glad we did a different team, and if mine's got to be the team, that's fine. Because I was like, this is gonna get real samey after a while if I keep having to dunk on the Packers.
Oh, you should have heard. You should have heard a couple episodes ago. Alex tried. He tried to say why.
Oh, I'm sure that was chaos.
Why Gorham is like the Green Bay Packers, and it was. He tried. Bless his heart.
There was an attempt. Did you mention the sacred animal earlier?
I typically do not mention the sacred animal because it's not in my list of...
Okay. I just think it's hilarious that Abadar has a sacred animal, and it is the monkey.
It's not the two-headed eagle?
Nope.
Interesting.
At least in 2E, it's the monkey.
Okay, yeah, that's what it would be. Yeah, I know that the two-headed celestial eagle is his thing. I mean, he's called the two-headed eagle for a reason. And actually, as a matter of fact, Cynthia, who was on season 1 of the podcast, played an Abadarian cleric way back in the day in first edition. And she was a summoning cleric, and she would constantly summon a two-headed eagle. That was her thing. You know.
I wasn't aware of that. What do you know? What's the significance of the two-headed eagle?
I honestly don't know.
Well, glad you asked, Heath, because I do have that.
Awesome.
There we go.
One of the 3 myths of Abadar that was presented in the very first Abadar article back in Pathfinder number 8, 7 Days to the Grave, Book 2 of Curse of the Crimson Throne, where we were introduced as a fandom to Abadar, because that was before any of the campaign setting books had even come out yet. This was the first glimpse to this deity that we got. But in that article, they present 3 myths that are pieces of Abadar's lore. The first one that they presented was Eagle's Eye. And it reads that eagles play a significant role in Abadarian myths. The faithful honor them for their far-seeing eyes in their search for subtle details and the high flights that give them perspective. One prominent myth about Abadar says that he spends 1 day each year in the form of a two-headed eagle, representing his even perspective on both sides of every situation. He soars above the greatest mortal cities and observes their craft and commerce. If members of the faithful find and recognize him, he grants them boons that greatly profit them in their towns.
Okay. I like the symbolism, at least, of the seeing both sides of the law. That makes sense.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I was just going to say, typically, empires use the two-headed eagle as a distinguishing mark of, like, status as well. And it would make sense, Abadar having a two-headed eagle. It might just be like, that's the real world. Earth.
Right.
Not Golarion Earth, but Earth. That's most empires, or attempted empires, I should say, also try to use the eagle heraldry as, like, it's, power, I guess, would be the best way to put it.
Right. I mean, Rome, America.
Rome, America, yeah.
Germany.
They're also, I believe, India. That's why I said attempted empires.
Right.
India also has it, and some Indian heraldry also has it, and also, I believe, where else? There's another one. You could find eagles everywhere. It's in every culture, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The Byzantine, France during Napoleon's time. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so let's talk about where Abadar got his start.
Well, he's been around, like I said earlier, he's been around forever. He's one of the gods that helped to imprison Rovagug. Very specifically, after Gorham and Toreg built Rovagug's prison, Abadar provided the perfect key. And then Asmodeus now holds, well, maybe Asmodeus, maybe Grandmother Spider, now holds on to that perfect key. So,
yeah, I think I don't really know if he has much of a beginning. I don't know if there's a myth about his beginning at all, about where he came from. Kind of like, at least I wasn't able to find anything like with Sarenrae. You know, she started as an angel and she became a god, and with like Desna, she came into being, and then there with like Pharasma, she was the first, and Abadar is just there. At least I couldn't find anything. He just kind of is there.
It could also be that Abadar, kind of embodies the concept of wealth and trade and transactions, and that's always been a thing. So, that could always be. He's been a concept, so now it's just a concept has a name.
Yeah. So like the concept of like bartering and trading. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, especially if you think of it, of Abadar, Abadar's demonstrably real, but if you think of it on the level of like he is the embodiment of the idea of value and wealth, like a lot of Abadar stuff ends up resonating with me in terms of like the theory of forms. Like he's got his vault, which I'm sure we're going to get into, has like the perfect sword and the perfect this and that, and that very much feels like Plato's like idea, or the world of ideas, the theory of forms, that they're like our reality is a less perfect version of the ideal version of a thing.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting point you're bringing up too, because I think the last handful of gods, we've really dug into this concept of they are the embodiment of this concept, this idea. Like we've talked Gazra, who is the embodiment of nature. Like they are nature. Then we just talked about Gorum, who is conflict and war, and how do you get rid of conflict and war when they perpetually exist? And so it's like, and Rovagug, who is the embodiment of destruction. Like things break and die. Like they just kind of decay and die. Like that is Rovagug.
Right, and I mean, it would make sense if all the deities that are viewed as sort of representations of a universal idea, like those are the ones that they'll always be around,
And they don't.
Like, Abadar's never going to die because value is always going to be a thing, I
mean, you can always go back to episode 1 with Besmara, the concept of piracy, the concept of like the freedom of.
But Besmara is different because Besmara actually did have an origin.
Yeah, she was a lesser spirit, but yeah, she's also in Starfinder. I think my thought process in my weird Mike mind is that when you achieve divinity, that's when you get that. Even if you achieve it through just Tessa Starstone, Caden Kalian, Vegas.
Yeah,
but the ascended types of gods are less gods of the concept of the thing. What we're getting at here is Abadar is the god of wealth, of the concept of wealth.
As opposed
there
to
are other gods with wealth in their portfolios, but Abadar is the embodiment of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Which would explain why there is no kind of origin to him.
There's no beginning.
He's kind of always been there. Same thing with Gorum. Gorum's always kind of just been there. Rovagug's always just kind of been there.
Well, like to your example of Besmara, like Besmara did have a beginning. Now Besmara has made it through to Starfinder because it's kind of a once you open that bottle, and piracy exists, it's hard for it to go away. But you can envision a time when early humans did not yet have banditry and piracy,
Sure. Yeah, and with the mortals, I can see they're more of a personification of the idea as opposed to the embodiment of like the fundamental concept.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Norgriber, like there was probably a day and date when poisoning and assassination didn't exist.
Right. At least not as an intentional act. Yeah.
Exactly. Which we haven't talked about Norgriber yet, but there's spoilers if you didn't already know that.
Right. That's pretty loose spoiler territory, I feel like.
Right.
There's so many gods, like that's the thing too, like in a game like this or in any, you know, monotheistic religion, like there's a deity of each major concept, you know, like that's not really, that shouldn't be a surprise that there's a deity associated with each kind of major thing that can happen to people.
Right, yeah. But yeah, Abadar, he's the god of civilization and wealth and just, so like those are the two big concepts behind him. I feel like there's two fundamental concepts. There's the concept of wealth and the concept of civilization. And that is basically Abadar. There's like two sides to the coin, pun intended. There's wealth and then there's civilization. And I don't know. To me, I feel like they're different but similar. You know what I mean? I have a hard time meshing those two together. Just like Norgriber, like assassination and poisoning. They can be similar, but they're also kind of different.
Well, and you can poison without the intent to assassinate. Like you can poison, and you can incapacitate. You know,
and you can assassinate,
without using poison.
Right. You could just knife somebody. No poison needed.
It's like you can have civilization without. Well, maybe you can have civilization.
Well, that's a philosophical question, sure, but like I do think there's more of a tie there. But like if we take it back from just money to like value, like, you know, trading, you know, it doesn't have to be like coinage, even though it very much is with Abadar. But prior to coinage being invented, like people bartered and you know, made sales based on the value of their thing. So if Abadar is the god of value, I mean, any civilization is going to have a system in place for the exchange of goods and services based on that value.
You said made sales, and I was just like ship sales? Like,
no, we're not doing Besmara. You guys are trying to make this Besmara again.
No, that's just where my mind went. I was like, wait, make sales? Like, I guess that's civilization.
You've been living in the pirate world way too much. Your brain's just constantly in the shackles.
Dude, we just hit 25,000 downloads. Like, that's so.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. So, yeah.
Also, anyway. Abadar is the god of closers, is what you're saying?
ABC, man. ABC.
Always be closing. Always be closing.
Dude, Gordon Gekko would be an Abadarian.
Oh, yeah, he would. And that's why it's easy to hate Abadar.
One of many reasons.
Yeah.
To hate Abadar.
Well, yeah.
God, I hate Abadar.
We can
have gone too far into this podcast without saying that out loud. I fucking hate Abadar.
And
with every fiber of my fucking being.
Everyone remember this moment for later. Everyone remember this moment for later. Because I'm going to have one of these moments very soon. Well, probably very soon. So just remember this moment.
Why don't you go into that? Tell us all the reasons that you hate Abadar. I'm sure we'll share many of them. I don't know that my hatred is quite as seething as yours.
Well, part of it is spoiler corner, but I'll give very limited basics of it. In that, my first introduction to Abadar was about 17 years ago when I ran Curse of the Crimson Throne the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said earlier, that's the book where he was introduced, was book 2 of Curse of the Crimson Throne.
Yep.
And he was introduced extremely poorly.
Yes.
And they've done a lot to temper how they introduced him since then. But that very first taste of him was bitter enough that it has sat on the back of my tongue for 17 years and just persisted.
First impressions matter.
Yeah, and part of it is, like, he's the god of wealth, but he doesn't allow his clerics to help others unless they can fucking pay for it.
Well, there's a blurb in there in the text that challenges that.
There is, but that's not how it was presented in the adventure.
That is not how it was presented in the adventure.
And
you're correct.
That is in matters of public health concerns, but not individual health concerns. If you are a poor person and dying of a plague, but you're not causing an epidemic on it, go fuck yourself. You don't deserve my help because you can't afford it, is his view. Like, once it gets widespread, then it becomes a problem because then it might threaten his precious civilization. But stop it before it becomes widespread, and it won't become widespread and cause a problem. It hits even harder, you know, in 2024, after 4 years of living in a fucking pandemic, where we focused more on the prosperity of the fucking healthcare companies than on helping the people. We live in an Abadarian society, and I fucking hate it. And then reason number 2, beyond the, well, his clerics won't help people unless they can afford it. Number 2, he's the god of civilization, but that is also a two-sided coin, in that he's also the god of colonialism. Very, very, very much the god of colonialism. So much so that one of the bastions of his religion is the first colonial bank of Sargava. That is one of the most famous temples of Abadar in Golarion. And it's the colonial bank of colonial Sargava. Which, when I read off the places where he's worshipped, I edited the name of Sargava to its current name of Vidrian, because they have reclaimed their city-state from the Chelish colonialists. But those are the two big reasons. He's the god of colonialism, and he's the god of fuck the poor people.
So he's the god of late-stage capitalism, which is just the worst. That's always been my, like, inclination with Abadar, is like, he's the god. I'm surprised there's not more made in Starfinder, and I don't mean to detract from whatever's in 2E. I'm surprised more isn't made of corporations and Abadar's connection to them. Now, with one exception, Abadar Corp itself, right? Yeah. Abadar is most expressed in Starfinder through his mega corporation, Abadar Corp, right? Who has its hands in every. It's Amazon, you know, like it has its hands in every business deal throughout the Pact Worlds and beyond, you know.
It's not Amazon. It's Weyland-Yutani. It's more Weyland-Yutani than Amazon.
It's
for sure.
Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah,
more so than Amazon. Yeah.
But still, like, it's weird to, like, Abadar Corp is made, a lot is made of, and mentioned of Abadar Corp, which has obvious ties, like, corporatism is Abadar's thing, but I guess Abadar Corp is presented in such an expansive way that not much more is made of Abadar and his, like, general support of the notion of corporations. It's just, like, his corporation. But he would very much be in support in our real world of Weyland-Yutani and Amazon, and all these would be if Abadar exists, they would be followers of Abadar.
Right. Yeah.
But so my leaning was always to dislike him, but I can also see, like, when you read it, just on paper, Abadar, it's like, okay, the money thing feels a little icky, but like the other side of that is like, you know, the law. It's like all very much about the law, but as we know in real capitalism, like, that is corruptible, you know. So like, just positioning yourself as the deity of the law does not inherently make it a good law.
Right.
And another thing on that point is he's presented as the neutral face of the law, in that he gives equal footing to both sides of an argument, regardless of which one is morally right. There's a comment specifically that his clerics, his priests, are not allowed to fight each other, regardless of reasons, regardless of nations, regardless of moral beliefs. They're forbidden to fight each other, which makes his churches a safe space in times of war, very much like Swiss bank accounts. But also very much like Swiss bank accounts, those get abused by the worst kind of fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and my thought with the law, too, is like, okay, he's supposed to be the two-headed eagle, you know, look at both sides of it. But, like, what if one of the people in a court case is much more in line with Abadarian principles? They are a business owner. They put a lot into the economy. And the other person has no way of doing that. Like, are they going to be more swayed towards the business owner? I would think yes.
Mm-hmm. Because, again, Abadar is the god of fuck the poor people.
I wonder how many, and now I'm thinking Starfinder more than two, like, how many Abadarian lobbyists would there be, you know, like, employed by Abadar Corp? Just platoons of them.
All of them.
Yeah, every lobbyist is just an Abadar Corp lobbyist.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating too when you. I mean, it's hard to separate putting personal in real life experiences into a fictional world. I mean, I do it all the time myself. Because I don't think when Abadar was created, it was created with a malicious intent.
No, none of them were.
No,
really.
but that's what I'm trying to say. It's like I don't think the creators ever tried to intentionally create a god of colonialism. That wasn't the intention. So and that's not what we're trying to say. We're not trying to put that out into the ether. Like, we're not saying, hey, Paizo, you created a god of colonialism. No, that's not what we're trying to say. These are personal feelings based on real life experiences. And like we said, you know, we just came out of a pandemic. We've all experienced this. So that changes views. Much like Erastil wasn't. We talked about this with Emily, you know, when we talked about Erastil. Erastil wasn't created with that intention of being. Well, I'm not going to say it, but with the intention that we were alluding to. But when you put real life experiences and into it, things can be portrayed as such much more commonly than what was originally intended. So
yeah, well, and to that point, I mean, I'm sure, like, there had to be, if you're gonna have a pantheon of gods to represent all the major things, there's got to be one that's tied in with money, right? Like, that You've got to have one. And it being lawful neutral, like, for one, I think is good, because it's like not saying it's an inherently good thing. But as we are more and more aware the last, however many years, like, the notion of corporations being super fucking insidious has been more in the limelight, right? So, like, it's hard to not view, especially from Starfinder's perspective, like, Abadar Corp, like, that it is an actual corporation, as, like, is this neutral, or, like, is this more evil leaning? Because it would feel that way based on real life experience, right?
And I'm going to put it out there too, since we kind of brought it up, the idea of insidious corporations. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I'm reading through a novel, or not a novel, a book, nonfiction. It's called Techno-Feudalism, The Death of Capitalism. And the idea is that we are living in a time that is no longer capitalism. We are living in a time, this is a hypothetical that the author's putting out there, where we have basically 8 to 10 mega corporations that are controlling plots of land, aka clouds, that we all basically work for. We are working for clouds, and we are all working in the cloud and renting space in those clouds. And that is a new version of feudalism, where the money all goes to one of these 10 companies. That is not capitalism. It all goes to one of these 10 companies. Be it Amazon, Google, Amazon, Google, Baidu, Microsoft. I can't think of them off the top of my head. Apple. Yeah, Tencent, Alibaba. I can't list. There's a couple others that I'm missing, but you can fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're bringing up the concept of these big mega corporations in Starfinder, you got Abadar Corp, Edge Corp, and I can't think of the other handful of the other big ones. But yeah, basically it comes down to like these handful of giant mega corporations that basically run the Pact Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're involved in literally everything. Like, exactly. And at least like with EdgeCorp, and I don't mean to spoil any adventures, but there's an adventure involved with EdgeCorp where EdgeCorp is very much painted in a negative light in terms of mega corporations are doing harm to their employees and the world, But not like now. I haven't read every adventure that's out there, but I haven't seen that as much with Abadar Corp, which is a much larger corporation.
Right.
I'm kind of surprised that the adventure that you're referencing didn't use Abadar Corp over Edge Corp.
Right,
honestly.
Instead of making one up, like they had it. It's like it was right there. Like you had this easy target.
Right.
And I do wonder, and this is purely speculation, but I wonder if that was a decision made to like, hey, let's make a demonstrably evil corporation so we don't put more of that on
Abadar
Corp, on Abadar himself, right? Because he's supposed to be a neutral deity.
I have a question. This corporation you're speaking of, Edge Corp, are they a subsidiary of the
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Because I was just thinking that would
They're
just be
their
like
own thing.
Yeah, they're their own thing.
It's
the
thing in the world.
Eugenia Jameson Corporation.
Yeah. I think maybe it might be like a shell company, but that would just be really.
I don't have any evidence of that, but I could see it being a thing.
Mm-hmm. I was just saying it's a very Pentex evil corporation, type of thing.
Yeah, and since we're just talking about things we don't like about Abadar, or the impressions that you get, like the fact that obviously it has to be, like, worship of Abadar has to be a religion, right? But like that tying together of religion and mass scale business just feels terrible, right? Like, and that's why
Yeah.
You know, the people like us would lean more towards like Abadar is terrible as opposed to neutral. You know, like the neutrality comes from the looking at both sides of the law thing, but we've already kind of poked some holes in that.
Well, not only that, too, the concept of the perfect everything, like you brought it up earlier, the perfect sword, the perfect person, the idea that he is in the was it the first vault? That is his domain. And in the first vault, there is a perfect ideal version of everything.
Yeah. Specifically, that's one of the other 3 myths. The first vault, as nomadic tribes began to create permanent settlements, they established permanent places to keep important or valuable things. Sensing a need for a godly version of these caches, the young god Abadar sought a place in his realm where he could keep the perfect forms of anything ever created or witnessed by civilization. He found a deep cave with an even floor and used his powers to carve additional space and seal it with a large door of gold. He placed within the vault pure godly representations of the first mortal creations, and was pleased to see that others appeared as mortals did their work. Abadar locked the vault with a great key so that if a civilization failed, its works would persist and would be taught or discovered by those who came after. In honor of this great undertaking, the priests of the Master of the First Vault emulate him by keeping detailed records of their accomplishments.
I mean, it's interesting. The first vault very specifically mentioned like it was a cave with a flat floor, and I can't help but think it's an allegory to the allegory of the cave with Plato, which is very much tied into the theory of ideas, you know. And what's weird is that there's what, like, according to the legends or whatever of Pathfinder lore, is that there's this one god, Abadar, who not only possesses but is in control of like a vault that is the freaking like world of forms, you know, of perfect forms of everything. That feels like a wild thing for one guy to have.
It's important to note that there is one thing missing from the first vault, though.
Yes.
That is the perfect shadow was given to Zon-Kuthon.
But the idea, the point I was getting at is while we're getting on the perfect form, and while we're still on the what things we don't like about Abadar, is you have to assume that he is the perfect form of a male, right? Because he's also depicted as white. In every image.
Yep.
In every
Never have
image.
seen another depiction of him other than white dude with a shitty goatee.
It's, you know, and again, I don't think that was intentional. I'm not going to put it out there and say curse you, Paizo, but just being a biracial person myself, just something I wanted to comment on.
Well, and it's weird too, like it's mentioned by name that amongst these perfect items is the perfect law. And it's like, how can that even exist?
Yeah,
you know,
what is the perfect law? yeah.
Like, and even a perfect law. Like, I don't see. That's such a complex notion, you know, like perfect by what standard?
Right.
I mean, the perfect shadow going to Zon-Kuthon might be the most metal thing ever said.
That does
True.
sound like a metal album.
That does, yeah, the perfect shadow. That does.
What metal band's imaginary album would be the perfect shadow?
Nightwish. That's for you, Emily.
Nightwish, okay.
That's for you,
Deathlock.
Emily.
Deathlock from Metalocalypse.
Yeah, Death Clock would be a good one. There'd have to be a silly, like, inversion of it for it to be Death Clock.
But yeah, apparently he also used to allow people to visit the first vault, but no more. He stopped doing that.
Why? Did somebody steal something?
We don't know why. There's speculation that, like, they specifically say in the text, perhaps because he has not found someone worthy, because he fears his enemies. His enemies might steal the perfect forms, or because he is carefully pacing the advancement of current civilizations to prevent them from growing too quickly and dissolving before they reach their peak. Nobody knows.
Like, but he can't be, like, effectively monitoring and safeguarding the progress of civilizations. Not if he survived into Starfinder, where there's millions of planets and failed societies.
Right. But yeah. We talked about it. Abadar's depicted as a handsome, quote, handsome man with black hair dressed in fine garments, often with a gold cloak, covering golden breastplates, and bearing many keys. Humans, dwarves, and gnomes show him with a beard, whereas elves show him beardless with long braids tied in with golden thread. Beyond that, that's about it. He's always depicted as pale-skinned and dark-haired.
This isn't a visual medium, fans of the show, but I hope you can hear my eyes rolling.
Right. We kind of talked about what he's like when he's pleased with his worshipers and when he's displeased. As you can imagine, when he's pleased, his worshipers are able to get more profitable deals, projects are completed earlier, journeys to and from cities take less time, and when he's displeased, well, you find yourself short on money, tongue-tied in the middle of important deals, or stymied when you are in the middle of a crafting or art project.
So it's the job interview from Step Brothers, is what happens.
Yeah.
Yep. I think so his holy book, the Order of Numbers, right? The first line about it is that it commands his followers to build cities and settlements where there are none, as well as some other things. But like, I immediately reading that, I'm like, I don't think Gazra would be super pleased with that. Like,
absolutely not.
It feels like it's like any space that is not populated by people, you need to populate with people, you know, which is like inherently going to be destructive to nature.
I mean, yeah, we can
and also to the indigenous peoples.
That as well, yes.
I mean, we can go into his relationship with other deities, but yeah, as you can imagine, he has the most enmity and butts the most heads with Gazra. That is the one he and Gazra do not get along, as you can imagine. When we talked about Gazra is the embodiment of nature. Gazra is nature, and as much as we talked about how Gazra just doesn't really give a shit about what us peasly little mortals do, and he doesn't care about us because, you know, we're just a speck in the grand scheme of nature. You know, nature's going to live on after we pass away. You know, what do we matter to nature? However, cities are very destructive. Nature will eventually take back over, but cities are very destructive in the temporary instance, where Gazra wants to keep everything unspoiled. And you can imagine cities, trading routes, roads, not so much.
Yeah, that sort of conflict with nature, like, not much is attributed to Abadar in the way of hubris, but it feels like it should be, right? Like that eternal march of human or, sentient humanoid kind into all of the empty spaces of the world, like feels inherently hubristic, but I don't know that that's really talked about. What the conflict with Gazra is that? Where's that from? Is that from first edition?
Yeah.
Because in second edition, the reason I brought the Gazra thing up, I'm glad you had some information about that, is because just looking at Gods and Magic, where it has, allies and enemies, Gazra's on neither, right? Like, not an ally, but it doesn't have Gazra listed as an actual enemy, which is just Besmara, Lamashtu, Norgorber, and Rovagug.
Oh yeah, Rovagug too, because Rovagug just wants to... They are the embodiment of destruction. Like,
sure.
That's eat everything.
Right, and I can see Besmara, because that's banditry, stealing and breaking the law. But,
right.
2E, I guess they kind of went away from whatever conflicts would necessarily arise between Abadar and Gazra, because...
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either. But, yeah, we talked about that, yeah. Rovagug wants to eat the world, eat everything. Lamashtu wants to basically, like, take over the world with her children, her monsters, her little monsters. Isn't that what's her face that call her
Lady
fans?
Gaga fans.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say the Howie Mandel and Fred Savage movie from the 80s with that little monsters as well.
That too. That too. Yeah, and of course, Besmara, because piracy and banditry. As far as the gods that he's friendly with, Erastil to a degree, mostly just because community. But again, it's...
But then
Erastil...
they get started talking of what they think community should be, and they butt heads and angrily leave the room.
Erastil's the grumpy old man. He's like, fuck you. And I'm out. Yep. And he's good. He's so... Until about that, he's cool with Erastil. He's cool with Iomade, simply just because when it comes to like planning and tactics, but beyond that,
upholding the law
and law, true, and law. And he's cool with Torag for crafting. I guess same thing with Shaylin when it comes to crafting, making things. He's cool with those two when it comes to making things, creating works. But that's really about it.
He's also friendly with Asmodeus.
True. Contracts.
But primarily because Asmodeus upholds the law. That's the stickler for him is, do you uphold the law? Then okay.
Do you stick to your contract? Yeah, you might have some loopholes and weave your way through your contract, but yeah, you did. Is it your fault that the person signed it and didn't quite understand what you meant when you said this phrase? Yeah, I guess.
Right. Well, and that kind of brings up, on paper at least, the lawful side of Abadar, I believe, is at least intended to be a safeguard against that just like relentless corporate greed, because it does in Gods and Magic mention that like those followers of Abadar who bend the words of his holy books for their own greed, like that's a problem. Like he views thieves and people, and not just thieves, but people who manipulate the law for their own gain as a problem, as criminals, right? Which is against the law. So I can at least see the intention there, of like, okay, he's the god of there's a reason they made him the god of commerce as well as law, because you need both. Like with any kind of commerce, especially on a mass scale, ideally you want very large amounts of regulation. And I mean, his lawful side is intended to imply a heavy deal of regulation in his legitimate doings.
And lastly, not so much the gods, the deities themselves butting heads, but their worshippers butting heads are worshippers of Abadar and worshippers of Gorum. They don't get along. Where, like Cori mentioned, worshippers of Abadar are not allowed by church, because of church bylaws. They are not allowed to argue or have conflict. Where when we just talked about Gorum, that is the exact opposite. When you worship Gorum, you must fight. Hey, Mike, you worship Gorum, I worship Gorum, let's fight. And let's fight for the sake of fighting. We're not going to kill each other because that's against the religion. We don't want to kill each other because if we kill each other, that means less fighting.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to fight. And so the worshippers don't get along. It's fascinating.
I put the fist up to touch fists and everything. Oh man, I really fell for that one, hook, line, and sinker, didn't I? Oh.
I mean, dude, we can spar whenever if we ever get together. If you want to spar, we can spar. I'm a 42-year-old man with a bum ankle and a bum shoulder, but I'll spar.
I was like 42 with two bad knees, so we're even. Fast forward to a video of Jason and I rolling jujitsu, and both of us just laying down like we're both hurt real bad. Please turn the camera
After 30
off.
seconds. After 30 seconds.
Laying like this.
Yeah.
Gassed.
Oh, man. God, it's been forever since I've rolled. Anyway, talking jujitsu, not
yesterday
X.
for me. Yesterday for me.
Yeah, okay, what else did we miss here? We talked about his holy texts. The Order of Numbers. He has two of them. First one is the Order of Numbers. That's kind of the big one. This one, as you can imagine, there's sort of a theme here where each one of these deities, their holy texts, is also something else. This is actually a text. It is not a talking skull. It is not strips of skin. It is not a half price off of beer at $2.30 to $3.45 sale like Caden Kalian's is. This is a legitimate text, but this is a city charter. Like that, the Order of Numbers. I don't know what it is in Starfinder anymore, but in Golarion, it is a city charter that his priests. I mean, he's Goldfinger, from Austin Powers Goldfinger. He loves gold. The priests of Abadar decorate their copy of the Order of Numbers. And it has specifically 24 carefully indexed chapters that detail their beliefs and taboos of the church. And each copy has space to note local laws and all the ways such laws interact with church doctrine. Also has space for names of key figures in the city, and so on and so forth. Quote, the inside cover bears the names of the book's owner and possessing a copy that once belonging to a prestigious family or was passed down from a respected church official is a great honor. The second one is called the Manual of City Building. This is a heavy, leather-bound, bronze-clasped book that is basically a comprehensive manual that gives you detailed instructions on how to found a city. Once more, we're talking about how to go into new continents and unspoiled parts of the land and build a city, well, this is what you bring. This tells you how to build a city, how to plan for roads, how to build defenses, how to prepare for utilities, how to expand, how to plan for trade, and so on and so forth. Then that is the second holy text. Now, I'm always fascinated on what the quote-unquote holy texts are in the Pact Worlds, if you can find them, Heath. The reason I bring it up is because when I found Saren Rays, when we did the Saren Ray episode, dude, that blew my mind. Like, having that gigantic supercomputer in the sun, yeah, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some absolutely wild ones. I'm scrolling through looking for his entry in the second book that he was put in. But I did, while I was doing that, see a section on Abadar Corp in particular that I wanted to share. So, which I hate. I hate this so much. Abadar Corp's church, Abadar Corp, so like literally the church is called Abadar Corp now, you know, is simultaneously a religious institution and one of the most successful and powerful corporations in the Pact Worlds. Its managers and executives serve as the church's priests. Hate that sentence even existing. And the company's many offices, stores, trading outposts, and warehouses double as temples and can be found on almost every settled world. These structures are all built in an unmistakable and seemingly contradictory style. Solid, practical construction to protect against thieves that is richly ornamented to showcase the wealth that often resides within. Many of Abadar Corp's buildings also feature durable, translucent ceramic windows tinted a vivid yellow to cast the interiors into a golden hue. It's that first part that I really don't love, is the notion that, like, it's not that the corporation and the religion are tied together. They are one and the same. I mean, the church is Abadar Corp, but also that just by virtue of being a high-ranking manager or executive, you are a priest in that church. Like, that's disgusting.
Yeah,
Yeah, that just doesn't feel good.
No, and okay, never mind. I'm going to keep my thought to myself.
Oh, no.
No. So I'm going to hold my tongue. The big detail on the Saren Ray supercomputer, that was part of the back matter for Dawn of Flame that Adam got me a copy of. So
yep.
You might not you might not be able to find that for Abadar Corp, or Abadar Corp. They're the same thing. So
the cycle. Let's see.
Well, while you're going over that, adventurers that worship Abadar, most of them tend to be judges, lawyers, and merchants. So if you're going to play somebody who worships Abadar, those are kind of the backgrounds you really want to plan for. He doesn't really have a whole lot of adventurers. Again, kind of like Erastil, Abadar doesn't quite have a whole lot of adventurers because most of them kind of really stay within the city and do that sort of thing. They work in trade, they work in banking, and they don't really go out to save the world all that much.
Very similar to Erastil.
Exactly. However, the few who do, they do go with parties. They don't ever go solo because they see parties as sort of miniature societies, microcosms of societies where you can have this interaction, this cooperation. And a quote here, because earlier I challenged Cori. This is something that they've kind of reeled back since they introduced Abadar in Curse of the Crimson Throne. They've reeled it back a bit, making it easier to play a cleric of Abadar. and I'm going to quote here, although Abadar temples are mercenary when it comes to providing healing, they are generous when protecting public health. We kind of went over that, seeing it as an important component in the role of guarding civilization. We went over that. This is the sentence here. Likewise, when traveling with others, such as an adventuring party, clerics of Abadar do not charge their companions for healing, seeing it as an equivalent service to a fighter's sword swinging or a ranger's scouting. Mm-hmm. So you don't charge your teammates, basically, when you play a cleric of Abadar.
So, I do want to clarify something, in that paragraph was actually in the write-up for Abadar in the back of 7 Days to the Grave. However, that's not how the clerics in the story are portrayed, which is where the first impression came in. In that, typically, when you're running an adventure path, you read the adventure first, and then you read the back matter to see how it supports the adventure. So,
absolutely.
So that's where the incongruency happens, is, like, in his write-up, he was written as supporting the public health, but in the adventure, he did absolutely the opposite of that.
Yeah. And just a few sentences down, just to put it out there, it says here, I want to quote, clerics are not permitted to give money to those in need, only lend it at a fair rate and record the transaction for the church's records.
Fuck the poor!
And, however, too, let's tack this one on. They are required to tithe the church. And most clerics have a small investment in local businesses to generate income to cover this tithe. So it's, again, I'm going to bite my tongue. I'm not going to say it, but there is a particular theology that I am thinking of that is very much invested in a particular state in the Pacific time zone, I think, or is it Mountain time zone? I think it might be Mountain. Anyway.
They're Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, no risk of corruption there. None whatsoever. Nothing to see here, gang. Move on.
I think that's where, honestly, the beginning of Abadar Corp started. Is the priests actually have investments in the businesses, and the money from those businesses went into the church. There you go.
You all just saw it click in my head, what you're referring to. I was sitting here like, fuck Abadar Corp. And then it was like, click, and I was like, oh. I'm real slow, folks. I don't know if everybody...
I did. I looked through the entry for Starfinder, and so it doesn't mention his holy book at all. So I don't know if that's been, put aside just for the sake of how much Abadar Corp has spread throughout the world or the worlds. But it does say that the Golden Vault, right, is its most holy site and is on Absalom Station now.
I got it, dude. His holy text now are the Abadar Corp's 10 corporate values.
Oh, yeah,
I was going to say the terms and conditions.
His 10 corporate values. That's his holy text now.
Fuck.
I was like, instead of saying amen at the end of an Abadarian's prayer, they say terms and conditions may apply.
You have to skip. You have to scroll all the way down and click a button.
Right. But no, the Golden Vault exists on Absalom Station now, which it doesn't really explain that. Like, is it the first vault? Like, did the first vault get transported sometime during the gap, or did they rebuild a new one? It doesn't really explain. Yeah, there was one thing that's a little ickier to me is the notion that Cori brought up earlier is Abadar as a colonialist, and I feel like that's even more prevalent in Starfinder because where's the exact line? It's something to the effect of they seek. Oh, here it is. Countless worlds across the galaxy flourish with the civilization of sapient species interconnected through a vast network of interstellar trade. But there are also innumerable planets that have not been graced with the light of culture and progress, whose poverty and isolation have prevented them from integrating with and enjoying the fruits of galactic society at large. It is these worlds that capture the attention of Abadar, who knows that it is only a matter of time before civilization, commerce, and the rule of law spread throughout the entire galaxy, and he instructs his faithful to work tirelessly to that end.
Can I just say,
the face I am making right now.
no one is going to see this but us. This isn't a visual medium, but let me just describe the face we all made. The face you guys made when Heath was reading that, the same face we made. Why did we read that? Why is that a thing? Pete, why are you scratching right now?
Oh my god, dude.
I hate him. I hate him.
I hate the phrasing of it. Like, the idea itself is bad enough, but the way it's phrased being, there are innumerable planets that have not been graced with the light of culture.
Is pleasant.
The light of culture.
The light of culture.
It's like even like primitive, and that's a buzzword. That's not the best word to use, but like not technologically advanced planets that would absolutely exist in the Pact worlds and beyond.
That have their own civilizations. They're just not technologically advanced. Right. I hate him.
It does
I
feel
do
a little
not hate
full
any of the
too.
evil deities as much as I hate Abadar.
That's fair.
Lamashtu was close, but yeah, yuck.
It's hard to like Lamashtu, though.
Yeah, dude, Lamashu's just, ugh. Lamashu's gross in that you know she's gross, kind of. Like, you know Lamashtu's gross, and she kind of knows she's gross, and she doesn't hide it. Abadar tries to hide it.
I think Abadar's presented as a neutral deity, a neutral force. Not holy, not unholy, just there. And that's what makes him grosser to me, is that he's not even admitting to how fucking horrible he is. Ugh.
At least Lamashu knows she's horrible. Abadar thinks he's great.
Yeah, that's true. Lamashu knows that she's... And like, there's a certain kind of... And this isn't a Lamashtu episode, but there's a certain kind of... You know what, good for you type thing with Lamashu is like, hey, you know what? Embrace what makes you not normal, you know, your abnormality. Just like, no, that's what makes you unique, and that's what makes you beautiful. That's what, like, there's a certain kind of thing to that I really kind of dig about Lamashtu. You know, this makes you unique, and this is why you should love yourself. But
right, live your truth, Lamashtu.
Well, and like, I will say that Paizo with the remaster updated Lamashtu's edicts and anathema to be a lot more toned down than previous, and focus more on that aspect than on the other aspects of her faith that we had previously had hammered home. So there's that.
Yeah.
Another thing, just through reading through the Starfinder entry that irks me, but would be very obvious, is the influence Abadar Corp would have on governments, which is a fucking problem. First, I want to point out the very beginning of the resources section as literally the richest corporation in the Pact Worlds. Like, it's not one of, it is the richest organization in all of the Pact Worlds. Abadar Corp has the resources to move planets and change lives. Agents of the Faith have access to the vast array of Abadar Corp products available in company stores throughout the civilized galaxy, from armored weapons to consumer goods. With the right words and the promise of a future contract or deal, Abadar Corp can convince governments and rival corporations to give its agents special access to restricted locations and information, provided that such access breaks no current laws.
There's your lobbyists.
Right.
Fucking hate him. I hate him. Should we talk about his holidays?
It'd be a very smooth transition, so yes.
Yeah, we could talk about his holidays.
Well, first, the month of Abadius, which correlates to our January, because the Master of the First Fault has to have the first month! Is named after him. And then there is Market's Door, which is a changing holiday that marks the arrival of the first shipment of goods from the fall harvest to civilizations.
That's not the worst one, though.
No, the worst one is Tax Fest! After taxes have been collected, the clergy of Abadar celebrate with a feast open to the community and its leaders. The only time he will feed the poor people is after they give him their taxes.
That is some Sheriff of Nottingham bullshit.
Yep.
That's the most that's Scrooge McDuck, too. That's some Scrooge McDuck shit.
Haha, you just gave me half of your gold! Have a drumstick, friend.
At least Scrooge McDuck has a heart of gold. Come on.
That's true. That's true. But he does worship Abadar. Let's be real. He has a gold ball.
He's Scrooge McDuck. Yeah, he's
one of two characters I can think of that clearly worship Abadar that aren't terrible, and one is a spoiler, so I won't go into it. Shout out to you, Cori. I think. My theory.
Are you talking about Bruce Wayne?
No, Bruce. No. Cool.
I think Bruce Wayne would worship Abadar.
It's a spoiler to.
No,
an actual
Batman.
No, I don't either.
I think
totally
Bruce
agree
Wayne,
with you,
the persona Bruce Wayne,
Yeah,
would.
the presented Bruce Wayne would seem to worship our Abadar. Yes.
I was gonna. I was.
But Bruce Wayne, the actual character, worships
actual
Callistria. Let's fucking be real. It's Callistria 100% for the vengeance factor.
Oh yeah, goddamn right.
Yeah. I was talking about like the persona Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. I get you.
Oh, maybe Lex Luthor, or would that be Asmodeus?
Asmodeus.
Yeah, Lex seems more Asmodeus. Anyway, okay. That's the one thing I did want to touch on before we moved on was the temples still very incredibly similar as they from Golarion to the Pact Worlds.
Ostentatious fucking bullshit.
Yeah, we talked about. I'm just going to go out and say the Latter-day Saints. We talked about it. I didn't want to mention it. This is the third time, so I'm just going to say it. The Latter-day Saints. That's what it reminds me of, dude. It's just rich decorations, thick stained glass windows, again, which are usually vivid yellow. That's just so like that. Everything, all the light that's shown through the windows, just like in the Pact Worlds, they had the ceramic yellow. These ones, the thick yellow glass, so when the light shines through, everything is awash in gold. Yeah, that's basically what they are, is these giant big buildings with eagles on top and yellow windows, and they also serve as banks and sometimes courthouses.
Yeah.
Nary a conflict of interest in sight. Not one.
Nope, nothing
Yeah,
to see
I just wanted
here.
to
Move
say
along.
that hasn't the fact that the windows are yellow has not changed. Heath reminded me of that, so I think we have aphorisms.
Yeah. So aphorisms. So it is judged. Pretty self-explanatory one there. Just it is the Abadarian amen, but also just a phrase that Abadarians say when things go wrong or things go right.
Yeah, just something happens out of your control, so it's judged. Like, it's like God has a plan, you know?
Yep. This can help us all. Abadar's church doesn't believe in giving handouts, so most adherents choose to celebrate holidays by giving practical gifts such as tools, instruments, or even simple services like chopping a cord of wood or watching children.
It's the aunt that gives you a book when you were a kid for Christmas.
And not a book that you wanted, a book on fucking saving money.
Yeah, with notes annotated in the side, probably.
Yeah, it's the uncle who, when you graduated high school, at your graduation party, he gave you 7 habits of highly effective people.
Yeah.
Yep. Fuck. By Abadar's gaze, the deal is sealed. When a negotiation is agreed upon and finalized, the initiating party utters this phrase to indicate that the negotiations are over. This is often shortened to just by Abadar's gaze or the deal is sealed. It's frowned upon to change the deal after this is said. And then lastly, from Abadar's vault, this phrase describes something of high quality, but it's usually considered hyperbole. Conversely, saying something is not worthy of Abadar's vault usually implies functional but mediocre crafting.
And finally, the most commonly used Abadaran phrase, I'm rich, bitch.
I don't know, I think fuck the poor people is right up there too, Heath.
Show me the money.
Gold.
Show me the money.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
All of these, would absolutely be Abadar phrases.
Can I just say... Sorry, go ahead,
Go ahead,
Jason.
Mike. What's up?
Oh, I was going to say, because I love the planar allies of all the deities, I don't love these at all. Okay?
Yeah, they're dumb.
They're
I just
dumb
really,
and
before we
horrible.
get into those, I wanted to quick, his holy realm, do we want to cover that real quick?
We kind of already did.
Yeah. It's an axis.
It's a portion of the city of Axis on the plane of Axis, and it's where the first vault resides.
Yeah.
It is a portion of the city known as Acton.
Oh, okay. So the first vault is in Axis? I didn't realize that. Okay, so then that's probably still where it is in Starfinder. They just have a replica in the Golden Vault on Absalom Station.
That would make sense.
Yeah. As you can imagine, the entryway is you can only
Gold.
enter. Yeah, it's a gateway of solid gold.
It's a gold door.
Color me surprised.
Yep. It's watched over by one of the heralds that we'll talk about in a second, and yeah, solid gold arch is the entryway to his realm. So anyway, take it away, Mike. His allies.
Just the dumbest allies. I agree. There's Cobblehoof, which is a highly intelligent celestial hippogriff that appears in full barding, ready to bear a rider into battle.
I will say that Cobblehoof makes an appearance in the Owlcat Games Wrath of the Righteous game. If you are taking the Mythic Trickster path, you can meet Cobblehoof.
Interesting.
Does it look goofy? Because I think it looks more goofy than it should. Like in my brain canon, it doesn't look like a regal hippogriff. It looks kind of goofy. Okay, good.
Especially because they use this sentence when talking about him. He's grown feisty in his old age and doesn't appreciate youngsters. Like that, right? Alone is what
It's a boomer mount.
Yeah, he's a boomer mount.
So Clint Eastwood would be a good voice. Clint Eastwood would be a great voice in every movie he's ever in. This is his character. Cobblehoof. There's the Goth of Malthus, which is believed to have once been a priest of Abadar, and now is known as a sign of impending plague or suffering. Why would you want to have your planar ally be known whenever you see them that something bad's about to happen? So Mothman?
Basically, yeah.
And also, like, his origin is uninspiring. It's like, it's just some dude that worked in his church, you know?
Marley and Marley.
Yeah, a wealthy priest. That's it.
So
it's Ebenezer Scrooge. Yeah. Like, before Ebenezer had a change of heart.
It would be the Marley Brothers.
Yeah.
And finally, the Lawgiver. Appearing as a massive statue of gold and steel. Well, fucking course, why not? This construct is the actual herald of Abadar. It wields the gavel of Abadar in battle and arrives in order to thwart the spread of chaos. Alternatively, it can take the form of a two-headed eagle. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and when Lawgiver isn't out and about, he is guarding the temple, standing right underneath the arch.
Oh, so under the golden arch,
they do.
In a golden vault, there's a golden statue. There's a golden guardian. That makes sense.
Well, the golden arch isn't in the golden vault. The golden arch leads into the portion of the city that Abadar lives in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The part where they make cheap hamburgers.
Yeah. Not anymore, buddy.
With less beef than they used to.
And the fries don't taste the same.
Yeah, the fries don't taste the same either. The quarter pounder is no longer a quarter pounder, even though they still call it a quarter pounder.
Imagine the cost cutting that happens. Because, like, the church owns all these businesses. Like, think of all the fillers and terrible things in restaurants they own.
The shrinkflation.
Yeah. The god of shrinkflation.
All right. Anything in the Pact Worlds that we missed that we want to talk about, Heath?
His art looks stupid. I mean, it does. I sent you a personal Discord image, and it's just like, instead of the like big like gold armor and stuff, it's just like, I don't know, like a moderately modern cut, not even suit, with like a bunch of gold trim.
Yeah. I'm going to share it in the channel.
Yeah.
And then the last thing we've got before spoiler corner is the obedience boons and curses. His obedience is to take a handful of gems, coins, and keys, include coins from at least 3 different currency systems, such as 3 different kingdoms, as well as at least 3 different keys, one of which should be a key to a lockbox, vault, or other strange such storage item. Kneel before a scale and balance the items as perfectly as you can on it, removing and replacing items in order to create the most equitable balance of items. Randomize the items you select each time you perform the obedience so as to not let your obedience become routine. Meditate on the teachings from the Order of Numbers. And then in 2E, his minor boon is he warns his favored against those who might unfairly take advantage. Once when someone rolls a success on a deception check to lie to you and you alone, they get a critical failure instead. Abadar typically chooses to grant this boon in response to an extremely consequential lie. His moderate boon is that he blesses all your enterprises, leading to financial success, as all your ventures always seem to work out. If you roll a critical failure at a check to earn income, you get a failure instead. If you roll a success, you earn twice the amount of the income as normal. His major boon is your silver tongue is infallible, allowing you to reach a compromise if one is even remotely possible. Once per day, you know just what to offer to make a deal or broker a negotiation. And if you offer your divinely inspired deal, you can automatically receive the result of a 20 plus your diplomacy modifier on your diplomacy check instead of rolling. This does not increase the degree of success like rolling a 20 would. If there's legitimately nothing you could offer to reach an agreement, you learn that and you don't expend your daily use of this boon. And then his minor curse is anytime you steal, illegally harm, or kill another creature, or undermine a law-abiding officer or court, a symbol or word describing your crime appears on a visible spot on your skin. The symbol cannot be removed or hidden with makeup, though it can be covered with clothing. And it doesn't vanish until you make legal restitution for the crime, such as serving your sentence. This one, Ellie, friend of the pod, voice of the Hurricane Queen, used in our Age of Ashes game on the cleric of the Lantern King who stole from an Abadar church and got the minor curse applied to him for the next couple of sessions, and every time he lied, it appeared on his forehead that he had lied.
Oh, interesting.
The moderate curse, Abadar curses all your enterprises, leading to financial disaster as all your ventures always seem to fail. The result of your check to earn income is always 1 degree of success worse than what you rolled. And then the major curse is, he hits you with the liar liar curse, that movie of the 90s, in that you just can't lie. You become honest to a fault. You constantly suffer the critical failure effect of Zone of Truth. Additionally, you are always offered the worst possible option in a bargain.
I thought for sure you were gonna say that he causes your pants to catch on fire.
Heat metal, but only lower extremities.
Right.
Yikes.
It just turns you into Jim Carrey.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Have you seen Liar Liar? Of course you have. That's you.
Right.
Yeah, who
My
hasn't
pen
seen
that I
Liar,
hold
Liar?
in my hand.
Wait,
The
hold
babies.
on.
The youths.
And Jackson from my show, who hasn't seen any movie.
Gen Z.
Who hasn't seen any movie that isn't Lord of the Rings. Put it that way.
Cori just did the shakes fist at Sky.
No, that's not a bit, dude. Like, he legitimately hasn't seen any movie that isn't Lord of the Rings.
Wow, Heath, that art is fucking terrible.
I know.
It's so dumb.
Just a square cut ass suit with a bunch of chunky golden trim.
Yeah, it's
so
horrible.
bad. So
He looks like
fucking
the
bad.
he looks like the futuristic Vault-Tec salesman.
Right?
Yeah,
Can I
it
get
definitely has a Fallout vibe for sure. Yeah.
All
It has
right.
gold eyes now, though.
Because that's what he needed.
Yeah, it really ties the room together.
All right, before we get into spoiler corner, by the way, what APs and adventures are we spoiling other than Curse of the Crimson Throne?
That's the only one I know of.
Yeah, Mike, do you know any?
Abadar? No, not really, but
Yeah, is there anything major in Starfinder, Heath?
I mean, not that I know of, because they used EdgeCorp for one of the adventures as opposed to Abadar.
and again, why?
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be spoiling Curse of the Crimson Throne. But before we get into that, next month we're going to be doing Callistria. We're going to be doing the Batman deity. And we will be joined by a friend of the show who has not been on the podcast yet, Riley. Riley's been a player in one of my games, in Cori's game currently. I don't know if he's ever played with either of you, Heath or Mike, but yeah, he's in all the Discords and everything. So, yeah, he'll be joining us for Callistria. So we're going to be talking about the Savored Sting, the Queen of Lust and Revenge. And yeah, I think that's about it. So we just do a quick wrap up where we can find everybody before we get to Spoiler Corner.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Robert. I'm sorry. And feel free to tell me, no, this is, Mike, you're insane. It's something I'm used to hearing. But would it be fun and cool and fun and cool if, let's just say, we all made a character that was a worshiper of said deity, just to see how we like it?
And
then maybe
it'd be tougher for some of us than others.
Yeah, maybe for you, Heath, I'm sure.
I wasn't referring to me.
Are you talking about of Callistria?
Yeah, just make like not a cleric of you don't have to make a cleric per se. You can
Oh,
make
I thought you meant Abadar.
Oh no, Abadar's. No, I would never subject Cori to that. I've seen the eye roll is literally quite drastic.
Well,
so I
and
wouldn't.
see, here's the thing. There is a player on a podcast that I listen to, shout out to Find the Path in their War for the Crown playthrough, who plays a cleric of Abadar in a way that doesn't make me disgusted, because she's all about infrastructure.
Okay, are we in spoilers corner right now? Because
I don't think
mentioned
that's really a spoiler.
No, because I have something that potentially could be a spoiler for actually 25 North, and I don't want to spoil anything until we're officially in spoiler corner. So I'm going to hold off on that one, because there's another example of a great cleric, I think, of Abadar. I might be wrong, and Jason can tell me if I'm wrong in spoiler corner. So whatever. Go ahead, Jason. Sorry about that. That was just an idea.
No problem. So yeah, real quick, Heath. Tell us about STF and where else they can find you.
Yeah, I'm a member of the STF network of podcasts, primarily doing Starfinder, though we have branched out into some Pathfinder content with our show doing Outlaws of Alkenstar. But our main feed is just STF Network. Anywhere you find your podcasts of choice, you can find STF Network, and that's an adventure doing that we call the APA that did three different. We just finished like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it took us 5 years, I wish it had lined up perfectly. It took us. We did technically more than this, but it ended with 250 episodes, 1 month shy of 5 years. It almost like had the stars aligned. But that is an adventure that's doing three book adventures strung together to tell a big epic tale with the same characters throughout. It's our baby and our magnum opus thus far. That just ended, and we'll be doing a new show in a few months to replace it. We also have a show called Live and Let Fly, where we are playing, basically space truckers. That's the one I alluded to with Edge Corp. Very, anti-corporate space trucker kind of vibes. It's a lot of fun. Our GM for that is Zach, as opposed to our normal GM Adam. And as I said, we also have a Pathfinder show as well that we've been doing for a little while. Both of the latter two that I mentioned are bi-weekly, and the APA has been one a week for forever, as well as lots and lots of other shows. We do Tom Talks, is like a talk back show after important episodes. God, we have so many. We did STF and Friends. Jason was on some of that.
Yeah.
Where we do shorter adventures and have guests on. Yeah. There's lots of content, but just look up the STF network either on your podcatcher or our website, and you can find all of our content there.
And Hideous Tomfoolery, which is replacing APA on the main feed for the next few months.
That is true. The show that was always supposed to be underground has seen the light of day. Which is a collab we did with Hideous Laughter Podcast.
Does George Worship any deity in particular?
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about it earlier. So Judge Davala, who's my Pathfinder character, he's not really particularly a devout man, but does sort of just like his family did, and that's what he does, is Aurori.
Nice.
Because of he coming from Jalmaray.
That makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yep. I've mentioned Aurori just in passing, like, you know, I probably didn't say this exactly, but something to the effect of like, oh, praise Aurori kind of thing, a couple of times. It's not a major part of his character, but it is a good piece of trivia.
Nice. Cool. Cori, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me at womenwriteaboutcomics.com. Taking a bit of hiatus from writing and whatnot, but my work is there and will be there forever. And you can find me as the voice of Besmara on 25 North, or as the lovable scamp GWOW in 50 North, The Goblin Adventures.
Which, by the time this comes out, I will have edited part 1 of the next adventure. So part 1 will be out.
Y'all.
I'm excited for them to hear it, and I'm excited to finish it up with the second part. So, yeah. And then, Mike, right?
Yeah,
The voice of Lupus Gallo.
Yeah, I'm the voice of the Hellhound Lupus Gallo. I'm usually on Discords everywhere, just kind of hovering. Sometimes I talk about things, sometimes I just read what you guys talk about, and it's just fun for me. Other than that, yeah, I'm not on any other shows. Hopefully, I am on I think I'm on one episode of the Goblin show because timing worked out perfectly, but I have the worst timing ever.
It's tough with your work schedule.
Yeah,
working third shift.
Yeah, working graveyards is tough for me. But yeah, you can find me everywhere, and you can find me here. And as long as I don't have to work on Tuesdays, I'll be here for most gods, and I'll try not to make Cori mad, because now I know what Cori is. Cori's like when she's mad. I don't want that. I don't want that, Cori. I don't want that. I don't want to be Abadar. Actually, I'm sorry for Lupus Gallo too. I just want to point that out. I am not Lupus Gallo. Okay, that's something I want to address. Not Lupus Gallo. I don't agree with anything he says at all. Okay, whatever I say, it's not Mike. It's not Buster. It's Lupus.
And you know who I am if you're listening to this. GM in the show, and when Heath, you mentioned 250 episodes for 3 APs. I am realizing the fact that, wow, dude, I am slow because that's 9 books. And
well, to be fair, Starfinder, their adventures are always shorter than Pathfinder adventures. Like, each book is shorter.
Yeah, because it took us over 60 episodes for one book.
Well, we did a bunch of 3-parters.
Yeah.
But they'd be episode 2, 200, or part 1, part 2, part 3 that all released.
That's true.
Our real total would be much higher than that.
That's true.
If you counted each individual actual episode, but some of them thematically went together, so we counted them as multi-parters. But yeah, I mean, Starfinder, I think on average, like if you took a 6-book Starfinder adventure and a 6-book Pathfinder adventure, the Starfinder adventure would finish significantly sooner.
Not only that, I was talking about it with another person in the Discord that this 3-book AP, here, Heath, you want to take a guess at how many pages are 3 books for this AP?
All 3 books?
All 3 books together.
164.
Not even close.
7,408.
No.
Somewhere in between those two.
Yeah. So this so Jewel of the Indigo Isles is a 3-book AP. The AP starts at page 1 And this does not include the back matter at all. This is just the adventure. Ends on page 341.
Jesus, dude. That's wild.
That is basically a 6-book AP. So
yeah, that's like, it's like calling it a 3-booker is only like you're just being technical in the way you divided it.
Yeah, because Pathfinder adventures typically, or Pathfinder Adventure Path volumes, the first 60 or so pages are typically the adventure. So yours is actually longer than a 6-book AP because a 6-book AP, well, no, 360, so right around the same.
Yeah.
A little shorter.
So it's no wonder that book 1 was about 60-some odd episodes. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because most podcasts that I've listened to tend to do about 30 per book. So if it's double the length, 60 is right on track.
It's on par. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to be spoiling Curse of the Crimson Throne, at least the Abadar part. Wow, we've spoiled it 3 times now that I just realized. Yeah, so... Yeah. Anyway. Again, so yeah, if you don't want to get that spoiled, if you're listening to Griff run it through, maybe stop it now, if that's your first time playing it or listening to it, and come back to it after you're done listening to Griff do it, or you want to read the books yourself. So
I'm listening to Griff do it.
Although if you're caught up on Bestow Curse, you can keep listening because he has passed this part.
I'm gonna call it now for me because I'm listening to Griff run it and I'm not caught up.
Don't close your browser, Mike.
Okay. I'll just minimize it and walk away.
Yep. Just minimize it and walk away, and then I'll stop it, and then once you're done uploading, then I'll just hang up, and then your browser will be good.
Not a problem. Everyone, it was great talking to you guys.
Oh, hold on. Before you go,
yes,
we're in spoiler corner now.
Yes.
You wanted to talk about Valmo, right?
Oh, yes, Valmo. Yes. Was Valmo a cleric of Abadar?
Valmo was a cleric of Abadar, yes.
Okay. Second question. Real spoiler here. Dungeon?
Yes, Valmo was a dungeon as well.
Okay. Can I just say it's really weird that Cori and I seem to mimic the ancestries of each other?
Yeah.
We both played a dragon. We both played a dungeon. My dungeon's still alive.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you some spoilers here. It's not really spoilers. This was some plans I had for Valmo, but Valmo's dead, so we don't...
RIP.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Heath, if you're going to listen to the show. Sorry. Anyway, so the plan was for Valmo to actually have, as a dungeon, and I was going to create a side quest for this, because I'm going to do a miniature side quest. I'm going to even extend the adventure longer than a 6-book AP, because I'm going to do side quests for each one of the PCs. Valmo, as a dungeon prior to gaining sentience, was going to be a dungeon that held one of the pieces of the Indigo Isles. One of the pieces of the jewel. And when the jewel was removed, that is when they gained sentience for the first time. But there was something that froze Valmo, that froze her, and then reawakened her when the party put the pieces of the map back together. When the 2 pieces of the map rejoined, and that curse triggered with the map starting to deteriorate, that reawakened Valmo. So that was the original plan. And yes, she was a cleric of Abadar, which is why in the show, she was like, do I need to charge you all for this to heal you? And then she was like, no, you guys, no, just chip me in on whatever treasure you find. That'll be fine. Yeah, just give me my fair share. We'll count it even.
Yeah, he did it well.
Yeah, and which I thought played into like played into the Abadar thing, and also played fairly with the party. It's like, as long as you give me my fair share of the treasure, I'll continue healing you. That's fine. But if you guys don't give me the fair share of the treasure, that's when we're going to have issues. And I thought that, hey, that as this was pre-master, as a lawful neutral cleric of the Abadar, I thought that worked well and wasn't antagonistic to the party.
Yeah, no, not at all. So,
anyway,
everyone, have a good one.
So, Curse of the Crimson Throne introduces Abadar. Introduces him in a book where your first interaction with the cleric of Abadar is with him healing a sick child, but only if the family can pay.
Yeah.
And typically the players will be the ones that pay the fee because players aren't heartless fucks. So there's that, and then after the sick child, a full-on fucking plague spreads through the city of Corvosa. And
which was started by gold, I should mention.
Yep. Urgathoa tainted gold coins, or a priest of Urgathoa tainted gold coins. We talked about the Urgathoa bit of the adventure earlier on that episode, but tainted gold coins to infect as many people as possible, spreading them specifically in the poorest sections of town so that the poor people would get sick, because who doesn't Abadar heal? Poor people, because they can't fucking pay him.
And
because of that, it turns into an epidemic.
And what do poor people want so they can get healed? Gold. But what's infecting them? The gold. Yeah.
You know, and like by the time the priests of Abadar actually fucking do something about the plague, it's too fucking late. Just like, you know, when we tried to do something about the fucking pandemic. It was too fucking late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It hits different in 2024 than it hit in 2007 is when the AP came out.
2007.
I ran it in 2009, so I was technically not quite honest when I said that I ran it 17 years ago, but close enough for government work.
Yeah, it's close enough. I think Christy and I weren't married yet. So yeah, it was probably right around 2009, 2010 was when I first ran it as well.
Like, I ran it with the Pathfinder First Edition rule set, so it was after that came out, which was 2009.
Same. Yeah,
so,
same thing. So yeah, it was 2009, 2010 as well.
But, like, that was my first introduction to Abadar, was this. And, like, it skeeved me out back then. If I read that book for the first time today, I would be irate.
Yeah, I think Griff,
it mirrors real life so much.
I think Griff even mentioned it on his podcast that, like, you know, they're running this, but I think there was even like a warning or a discussion about it. Maybe it was on Zone of Truth. I forget.
Yeah. They definitely talked about how it feels different because we've actually lived through this shit.
Yeah, and I remember I can't remember exactly what she said, but there was something really poignant that Emily had said, but I forget what it was. Anyway.
But, yeah, so that's really the only spoiler corner stuff I have for Abadar is...
Yeah, and I don't really have a whole lot either. Yeah, I can't really think of anything myself.
I think he's somewhat involved in Serpent Skull, but I've not read or played that.
Nor have I. He's not at all a big part of Quest for the Frozen Flame or Gatewalkers.
Well,
Or,
I wouldn't expect him to be Quest for the Frozen Flame.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah.
Like,
Though there are some really cool gods in Quest for the Frozen Flame. Like, I just learned about Fandara for the first time, and she's really cool.
Does Pulura get mentioned in QFF?
No.
No,
it's
anyway,
a lot of Fandara.
Like, I think there is a 1E module that takes place in Sargava. You might be involved in that, but I don't remember the name of the module, nor have I played or read it, obviously.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. I know Razmir is the one that's a big in the trilogy.
Yeah, the Bowman trilogy.
Yeah, Price of Immortality. That's more Razmir. Because I've run that. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else I've run that's big on Abadar other than Curse. But yeah, that's about it. I don't really have anything else. I've always...
Well,
we didn't talk...
Like we said, he like Erastil doesn't have a whole lot of adventurers.
We didn't really talk about this in the show, so I'll mention it here now. So if you're listening to Spoiler Corner, you're getting a free bit of this information. He does have a very, very small handful of paladins, which is very interesting to me. And it's mostly... they mostly serve as kind of like the militant wing to protect trade routes. So, for a very, very brief time, I had a player who was a paladin of Abadar in one of my games. Very brief time. The player dropped fairly quickly due to some work schedule stuff, but I was really interested in seeing how he was going to play that character. Just because the paladin of Abadar was always interesting to me, so... Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's all I've got. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, take it easy, folks. If you can think of any other adventures that feature Abadar, yeah, feel free to drop them in the Dubious Knowledge channel. I'd be interested in hearing and reading those adventures just to see how they play him. So, all right, see ya. Bye.